Welcome everyone to this masterclass on HPO axis part 2. In this session, we're going to discuss about the HPO axis proper and its regulation. So I've already told you that the hypothalamus is connected to the anterobutary gland by means of blood vessels and the postpituitary gland by means of neurons, and hypothalamus is the CEO of the company called endocrine system. And in the second highest post of this company, we have got pituitary gland, which is COO or Chief Operating Officer. Okay, so hypothalamus is the highest center, and then we have got the master gland, the pituitary gland, and then we have got the target organs or the peripheral endocrine glands. So let's discuss HPO axis. So to begin with, we're again going to start with this diagram over here. Now I want everyone to focus on this. Okay, now as you can see right over here, okay, so hypothalamus has got nucleus, a special type of nucleus which is arced or curved, and that's why it is called arcuate nucleus. So here this structure is called arcuate nucleus. It is called arcuate because it is curved or arced, and that's why it is called arcuate nucleus. Now whenever I say nucleus anywhere in the central nervous system, be it brain, be it spinal cord, nucleus essentially means the collection of cell bodies. And why do they call nucleus? Because if I have a cross section, or if I make a biopsy sample from the brain or spinal cord, and if I look at the biopsy sample under microscope, they look dark because they are the collection of cell bodies, and cell bodies, they contain nucleus. Okay, and that's why they are also stained dark, just like the nucleus part of the cell, they are stained dark. And because of this staining similarity, they are also called nucleus. All right, so the concept of nucleus in central nervous system, be it spinal cord, be it brain, right, essentially comes from its staining property. And how does it look under microscope? They look dark, just like the nucleus of the cell. Okay, so we have got, first to start with, we have got the arcuate nucleus in the hypothalamus, and this arcuate nucleus, right, basically, right, it is formed by the cell bodies of the neurons, and we have got millions and billions of neurons in the hypothalamus, and some of the neuroendocrine cells, they forms this arcuate nucleus. And if I focus on this part, right, so these are the neuroendocrine cells which releases a very important hypothalamic hormone called gonadotropin releasing hormone. So once released, right, they enter the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system as discussed earlier, and then they reach its target organ, which is the anterior pituitary cell, and its target cells are gonadotropes. Okay, so these are the gonadotrope cells. And I already discussed that all the hypothalamic as well as all the pituitary hormones, both anterior and posterior, they are peptide hormones, right? They're essentially proteins. Okay, and when the gonadotrope cells are stimulated by the hypothalamic hormone, which is GnRH, it releases two important gonadotropins. One is FSH, one is LH, and these hormones, they are going to they enter the systemic circulation, they reach the ovary and exerts their action on the ovary. And when the ovary is stimulated by this hormone, the ovary releases estrogen, progesterone, and androgen into the peripheral circulation. And this estrogen, progesterone, they basically controls the menstruation, and also they exert some sort of negative feedback mechanism. So this is the HPO axis. We have got the hypothalamus, we have got the arcuate nucleus in the hypothalamus, which releases GnRH. GnRH enters the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system, and they enter the anterior pituitary gland. They stimulate the gonadotrope cells. Gonadotrope cells, once stimulated, they release FSH and LH FSH and LH, once released into the systemic circulation, they travel distally and ultimately they reach its target organ, which is the ovary, and ovary releases the estrogen, progesterone, and androgen into the peripheral circulation, and it regulates different function, and one of them is the is definitely the menstruation. Okay, so this is very, very important. Now let's understand the same thing from this flowchart. So you have got the hypothalamus, you have got the arcuate nucleus right over here. Arcuate nucleus releases GnRH. GnRH, enters the hypothalamo-hypophyseal portal system, which is the vascular connection between the anterior pituitary gland and the hypothalamus, and they basically stimulate the gonadotroph cells. Once stimulated, they releases the gonadotropins in form of FSH and LH, and FSH and LH, they reaches their target organ, which is the ovary, and the ovary releases the estrogen, progesterone, and androgen. And these hormones then exerts their action on different organs. We have got the uterus, breast, and bone. They are the main. Okay. Now, this entire pathway is very well regulated. It has to be. Otherwise, there will be, irregular menstruation. There will be a lot of different issues inside in a reproductive life of a lady. Now this GnRH, when the level of GnRH is higher than its normal physiological level, is going to exert a negative feedback mechanism on the arcuate nucleus itself. Can you see this? Just focus on this. Now this GnRH, when it is elevated, or when the level of GnRH is elevated from its normal physiological level, it is going to exert a negative feedback on arcuate nucleus itself. It is going to, send a message to its factory, which is the arcuate nucleus, and that says stop, right? No more GnRH is needed. Okay, and this very short loop is called ultra short feedback loop. So can you see this loop is a very, very short loop. Okay, this is called ultra short feedback loop. Now, when the anterior pituitary hormones, they are the FSH and the LH, they are the gonadotropins, they are higher than its normal physiological level, they are going to inhibit the hypothalamus as well as they are going to inhibit the anterior pituitary gland, and this is called short feedback loop. They are called short feedback loop. And then comes the ovary. When the ovarian, steroid hormones like estrogen, progesterone, androgen, they are elevated from the normal physiological value, they exceeds the normal physiological value, they are going to exert the negative feedback on the anterior pituitary gland as well as the hypothalamus, and this is called long feedback loop. So you have got three very important feedback loops. We have got the ultra short, which is exerted by the GnRH, then you have got the short, which is exerted by the pituitary gonadotropins, and then you have got the long feedback loop. Alright, so that is the entire HPO axis. So this is the entire HPO axis, and this is the schematic for it. Just for the purpose of completion, I'm going to discuss about the HPT axis as well, which is basically hypothalamo pituitary testicular axis. It is very important. Please focus. Now, until this, it is same, Until this is same. FSH, LH, okay? Until this is same. Now, this FSH and LH, right? We know this is the gonadotropins. They are going to act on the gonad. In male, we have got testis. In the testis, we have got seminiferous tubules. Inside the seminiferous tubules, we have got the Sertoli cells, and inside the tubules, right? We have got our spermatogenesis. And then you have got interstitial cells of Leydig, okay? Interstitial cells of Leydig, which are basically extra tubular. That means these interstitial cells of Leydig, they are present outside the seminiferous tubules. Okay. Now please focus. FSH is going to act on the Sertoli cells present inside the seminiferous tubules, and they helps in the process of spermatogenesis. On the other hand, LH is going to act on the interstitial cells of Leydig, and the interstitial cells of Leydig, they are going to produce testosterone. Am I clear with this? Now testosterone is converted with the help of enzyme called 5-alpha reductase to its much more potent form. It's like the big brother of testosterone. We call it DHT, or dihydrotestosterone, which is responsible for, and this two androgen, testosterone and dihydrotestosterone, they're responsible for all the secondary sexual characteristics in males. Testosterone also binds with something known as ABP, that is your androgen binding protein, presents on the Sertoli cell, and they basically helps in the process of spermatogenesis by binding with this protein. So this is your HPT axis. I hope the entire HPO axis and the HPT axis is absolutely clear. Now I'll just very quickly talk about the GnRH pulses. Now look very carefully. Now GnRH and as well as all the pituitary hormones, they're released in pulses. They're not released in a basal pattern, right? They're released in a pulsatile pattern, okay, on demand. Okay, the one hormone, right, one very important hormone which has got a basal release, okay, that is your T3 and T4, because this T3 and T4, which are released from the thyroid gland, they're very important for maintaining your BMR or basal metabolic rate, and that is why T3 and T4, they're released in a basal fashion. All the hypothalamic and all the pituitary hormones, they're released in a pulsatile fashion. When I say pulsatile, I mean those hormones are released on demand. Now, very quickly on the right, can you see on the screen now all the green hormones, right, and the chemical substances, they basically activate the arcuate nucleus. All the red chemical substances, they basically inhibit arcuate nucleus. So we have got the norepinephrine, we have got the neuropeptide Y, we have got the prostaglandins, we have got the activin. Okay, now this activin is coming from the ovary. Now these chemical substances, they activate arcuate nucleus. On the other hand, all the endogenous opioids, we have got endorphins, enkephalins, and dynorphins. These are all endogenous opioids. We have got the serotonin, we have got the inhibin and dopamine. They basically inhibit the arcuate nucleus. I hope you guys have enjoyed this session, and thank you very much for listening. And yeah, if you have got any question, do write in the comment section. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye bye. Peace.